Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. My next guest has been a household name for decades. After landing his first break as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, he was catapulted into worldwide fame, where he's resided ever since. But there's more to Mark Hamill than his on-screen triumphs. He's been a force for good for the people of Ukraine. President Zelenskyy personally appointed him ambassador for the army of drones to help fight Putin. So before I ask him about switching from taking on Darth Vader to helping defeat the biggest villain on planet Earth and his rumoured love triangle with Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford, surely not. Let's be reminded of his iconic Star Wars role as Luke Skywalker.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Huh? Oh, the uniform.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Luke, I am your father.
Well, I guess you don't know everything about women yet.
Take your father's place at my side.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
Well, Mark Hamill joins me now. Mark, thank you so much for joining the programme.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start with a dramatic confession, because I know that you were complaining in a recent interview that you always have to talk about Star Wars in interviews. I can probably make that easier for you because I have never watched any of the Star Wars movies.
Well, that's vive la différence. You know, I'm glad people don't all like the same things. It'd be very boring.
I've got to say that notwithstanding that, my eldest son discovered that you were on tonight. I don't think I've ever known him more excited. He's nearly 30. He has one of those things that you wave around, I know in the movies, the lifesavers. And he is so incredibly excited about this. So I might, at the end, just ask you to send him the Force or whatever it is. But you'll be pleased to know I'm going to focus right now on something much dearer to my heart, which is Ukraine. I went to Ukraine back in July, and I went to see President Zelenskyy and interviewed him and his wife, the First Lady. And I was struck by a lot of things about them. I think they're a remarkable couple, and he's a remarkable leader in this incredibly difficult time. But I also was struck by something you said about this when you spoke to him on Zoom and you were reflecting on it afterwards, that here was a guy who was an actor like you. You know, he was a guy just basically running a TV production company, taking part as a comedic actor. And then he ends up playing somebody who randomly runs for president in a comedy. And then he ultimately runs for president. And he becomes president. And within a year, he's plunged into the first major war in Europe since the Second World War. It's an extraordinary story, isn't it? As someone who's obviously an actor like him, what do you make of it?
It really is. And I first became aware of him during the first impeachment trial and did my research. And like you say, he started out as an actor. Life imitates art. He wound up doing a series called Servant of the People, which I also watched. He's an inspirational leader. And the way the Ukrainian people have come together in these terrible times, I mean, like you say, we've never seen a sovereign nation invaded by a hostile foreign nation since World War II.
No. You've got involved in a really brilliant campaign, I think, which is about the use of drones to monitor the 2,500 kilometres front line in Ukraine. It's called United 24. And the way it works, unless I'm mistaken, is that people like yourself have been raising money and awareness for this, and then the drones are sent to Ukraine for them to use. And in fact, you have been directly responsible for over 500 drones now being sent over to Ukraine. And they are incredibly useful because they are basically the eyes and ears for the Ukrainian people in detecting missiles and so on.
Exactly. In a simple statement, Ukraine needs drones. Drones define war outcomes, and they're able to monitor the border and protect both civilians and their soldiers. So what surprised me was not only were they interested in fundraising. But if you have a drone, I was unaware that this is a popular hobby, and people that are hobbyists that are focused on drones, they have multiple drones. They say, oh, well, that's 2 years ago. That's the old model. I've got the updated version. And Ukraine can use even the most simplistic drones. They don't fly very far, but like you say, they're the eyes in the sky. And it's really crucial now that Russia is struggling on the battlefront. They've been attacking behind the battlefield, bombing civilian infrastructure, schools, playgrounds. It's really terrible.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that for the last 4 weeks, the large portions of Ukraine have no water.
Right.
There's power outages. So anything that can be done to help is greatly, greatly appreciated.
When you spoke to President Zelenskyy in this Zoom conversation, I know that Star Wars did come up. And of course, the parallel I think that you both realised, which is pretty stark actually, is that the themes of the Star Wars movies were always about good taking on evil and good ultimately triumphing. Here you have a really, I think, a pretty clear-cut example of good people of Ukraine being illegally invaded by bad people, Vladimir Putin and his Russian military. How do you think this ends? I mean, are we going to be in a position where, like in a movie, good will ultimately triumph? Or is it going to be more difficult than that?
Well, it's impossible to say. I mean, everyone expected Ukraine to just roll over and give up. Instead, they've mounted this ferocious resistance, and they're making great strides. I pray that Putin finds some face-saving event to say, okay, I've accomplished what I wanted, and we're pulling out, because he's been humiliated, and that's not good for someone as aggressive as he is.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just terrible. Over 115 countries now have donated, not just to Army of Drones, but Zelenskyy appointed various ambassadors. I know Liev Schreiber's in charge of one aspect, Barbara Streisand another aspect, Imagine Dragons, the musical group, and they're all have their separate responsibilities. Mine being the Army of Drones.
Well, I think it's brilliant. Honestly, I think when I was there, the resilience of the people of Ukraine was incredibly palpable. They don't want to give Putin an inch, and they are desperate for support and help from the rest of us in the West. And I think they'd be hugely appreciative, as I know Zelenskyy was, about what you've been doing and using your profile for doing that. So, yes. Really well done, and keep up that great work. And we'll certainly direct people from this show to work out how they can get involved too. I want to just pivot slightly to Twitter.
Can I mention the?
Yes.
If I could, can I mention the website really quick?
Of course.
It's u24.gov, which is gov.ua/dronation.
Great.
u24.gov.ua/dronation.
Well,
Thank
I will
you
be
so
able
much.
to. I will tweet that to my 8 million Twitter followers, which I passed this morning, Mark. Now, I've actually had a little spurt of followers in the last couple of weeks. You've had the opposite, and you're blaming Elon Musk.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I just stated the fact that I lost over 6,000 in the first 3 days. It was weird. Then I gained them back and then some, and now I've fallen back another 10,000. I'm not blaming anybody. I just don't understand what's going on.
How many do you have at the moment?
Bots.
How many followers do you have?
I have 5.2. And I just got over 5.3, and then I lost and went back to 5.2. But, it's everything's relative. When I start thinking, wow, I've got 5 million followers, and you find out like Taylor Swift has 180 million or something. So
I mean, I've got to say, I'm quietly pleased I've got 3 million more than Luke Skywalker.
Well, there you go. Congratulations.
But on a serious point,
maybe if you watch the movie. If you watch the movies, you'll go up even higher.
You know what? I am going to. My son has been on and on at me about it. I can't tell you what a massive fan he is. What do you think about Elon Musk wanting to charge people like us to keep our blue tick. Are you going to pay him his $8 a month?
No. You know, it reminds me, I got contacted by the Who's Who people, and they wanted me to be in Who's Who. And then when I found out there was a $250 fee, I said, what, are they crazy? If I'm really somebody, they'll put me in without the fee. So I didn't pay it. I don't know whether I'm in it or not, but I think that's ridiculous. I don't understand. I mean, when I went on Twitter, they just gave me that check. Yeah. And I guess it's just to authenticate that it's really you. But I've been on Twitter for so long now, I don't think I'll miss it.
I think people know where to find you. What is the best or worst thing about being Luke Skywalker? One of the all-time iconic movie roles. Best and worst?
Well, one of the best things is that people feel like they know you. So wherever I go, people talk about how those films affected their lives, whether it got them through a parent's illness or, you know, they met their future spouse at a screening. I mean, people relate it in such personal ways. It means a lot. I don't know what the worst thing is. I guess it's because, you know, when I do something and it's over, I just let it go. And I have these kids that come up to me, and not just kids, you know, adults as well, that know so much more about it than I do. Because I don't watch them over and over. I watched them when they came out, and I don't watch them again. So they know details that I don't know what they're talking about.
And is there any prospect of Luke raising his lightsaber again, or is it all over?
Oh, it's over.
Well, if it really is over, Mark, if you could just do me one favour and make me Father of the Year, could you just stare down the barrel of the camera and say, Spencer Morgan, may the Force be with you?
Spencer Morgan, the Force will be with you always.
That's absolutely fantastic. Mark Hamill, what a pleasure to have you on the programme. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Piers.
And keep up the great work in Ukraine. It's hugely appreciated by them all there, I know, and very important work. Thank you very much. All the best.